I'm going to show you guys something about publishing here in a minute. There are a couple of different ways to publish what you're doing. I mentioned RPubs, and I'm going to show you guys that in just a minute. So you can set all this stuff up so that it's automatic. And then there's now something, I'm just curious, how many of y'all says RStudio Connect Beta? If you're in there. So let me cancel out of that just real quick. So if you're in Tools, Global Options, and you click on Publishing, because I'm running a development version. Does y'all say that or not say that? Okay, so just FYI, RStudio is also setting up an open, free cloud management system, for lack of a better word, called RStudio Connect. So a lot of people who are testing sort of web applications using Shiny, that's really sort of where it started. You could publish your application on this RStudio Connect, and then people could interact. People that are really serious about supporting these like large things, go ahead and set up their own server, and there's a lot more to it. But if you're just testing things out, this is kind of handy. So that's what that is. All right, but all of these different parameters and stuff that show up, there's even options associated with your project. A lot of it kind of gets repeated, so there's additional things. I won't talk about PackRat. But anyway, all of those settings, all the things that you might want to customize are saved in this little R project file. And one of the nice things about this is, assuming it's not something really proprietary, most of the files you can click on and it'll open it. Since this is an R project file, it actually just opens that window. So everything, all of the settings that are in here is what's actually saved in this R project file. So the good news about doing this is when you do this, it's kind of like saving your environment. So every time you start our project or RStudio, you come back to the project that you were working on. And you sort of don't start from scratch. So everything that's there sort of reloads, you're back in the right directory, and so forth. So it's just a good idea. Every time you start a new project, make sure you've got like a clean directory, it's ready to go, you've got your settings, go ahead and create that R project file, even if you're not customizing anything, you're just using the defaults. It's just kind of a good practice, a good exercise to get into. All right, so let me go back. I'm going to go back and recreate that our markdown file. So I'm going to just say new markdown file, new file, Princess Elsa. I'll leave it as HTML. I'm not going to change anything. Let's go back. I'm going to say knit to HTML. It'll ask me to save it. So it was going kind of fast, but it did a couple of things. So I got the file again. I'm going to close this. So now in my directory, I've got a bunch more files. So I've got that project file that I created. I have the R Markdown, so the RMD file here. This file is what you see up here in the top left. And by the way, it's plain text, right? So even if you didn't have RStudio and you just really wanted to work on your document, but you had Notepad, you could open it in Notepad or any basic text editor and work on it. So there's nothing special. The only reason it's color-coded here is because our studio is smart and understands all of this. But I could easily write and edit this document in any plain text editor. The other thing is when this compiled, it created an HTML file. Then it created a folder called Test1 files. So these are the files associated with my output. Okay. Oh, shoot. All right, hold on. Let me close this. Hold on. I'm going to open it back up. Every now and then it gags. Okay. I don't know why that. Okay, it went away. Sorry. Oh, I think it was temporary. Anyway, so the HTML file that it created, this is just looking at it in my browser. If I double click on this, I can now open this in a web browser. So the nice thing about this is if you've ever had SAS output, SPSS output, shoot, even some of the R output or Stata, if I can save it as an HTML file, as long as the other person has any kind of browser software, they can read it. In some ways, it's even easier to disseminate than a PDF. although PDF has become fairly universal. Almost everybody has something that can read a PDF file. All right, so this is a great way to be able to disseminate research back and forth with people who may or may not have the same software, may not have the same platform that you do, but hopefully they have at least a web browser. Yes?
Do those get saved to the internet? I feel like if you were working on something that is supposed to be
Well, now this file right now only exists on my hard drive. So if I send it to you, then you'd have it too, but we would be the only two people that would have it. It's just the format of the file is HTML. Any browser can read that file. It's just like Microsoft Word can read Doc formatted files. But it's not on the internet yet. Now you can put it on the internet if you want. So let's actually try that. So how many of you guys, and again, I probably should have taken the time to go and actually install the production instead of the development version. Do you guys have a little button that looks like this? Or do you have something in the, it's kind of on the right-hand side that says publish? Okay. So right here, I have the ability to publish my document. So before we do that, I'm going to have everybody just take a couple of minutes. And I want you guys, if you'd like. This is totally free. It's up to you how you want to do it. But go and log into rpubs. So it's rpubs.com. I already have an account, but if you don't, just click register and create you an account. You just put in a name, email, and so forth. So I'm going to sign into mine really quick. All right. And I'm going to give you guys just a minute. Let me check on this other thing. So take like 2 minutes and create just a quick thing, and I'm going to show you how we'll publish to the web. Yeah. Okay. I wondered if you would hit something. So while some of you guys are working on the rpubs, let me show you that real fast. All right, because I glossed over some stuff. So if for some reason that our create new file would not work, I think what it's looking for, okay, so let me back up. Under tools, there's a button here that says install packages. So remember how I said you have to have these add-ons? And a way to check this is that if you're in the packages window and you scroll down, I think it's looking for knitter. So it's looking for this one, knit R, and it's looking for R Markdown. So if these aren't showing up in y'all's, then I think we have to install them. So if you say tools install and then you type knit R, it should default to the repository that says CRAN. CRAN, I think, stands for the Comprehensive R Archive Network. If you just start typing it in, hopefully it'll see it. And so you could click on that and then you click install. And then the other one that it's looking for, I think, is R MARK down. In theory, it should prompt you, and if you just click yes, hopefully it installs that, but it sounds like it wasn't completing the process. So apologies, I didn't catch that. So take a minute and see if you can get these two things to install, and then try creating a new R Markdown file again. And so I'll give you guys a minute to do that. And let me know if that doesn't work. And then I may try to just put some additional help stuff out there for you guys after the workshop today. All right. So when you create an RPub account, I mean, these are just things I've been playing with. So this says recently published. These are things that were recently published by anybody out on the internet. In my account, let's see, I think if I look at, let's see if I say profile. So these are things that I've been playing with in my own account that say recently published by Melinda Higgins. So once you've got that, hopefully you've got something up here with your name, whatever you want it to be called, programming stud or whatever. And assuming that you got that set up, when you click this button for publish document, it'll give you two options. Like I said, you're welcome to play with the RStudio Connect. I wasn't going to go through that because it is still in beta and it still has some issues. It's not perfectly prime time. But RPub seems to work pretty consistently. So once you've got an account set up and you're logged in, then when you say, okay, I want to publish to RPubs, this is where you're actually saying, okay, I'm happy with my document. Other people can see it, and you click publish. And it does say, important, everything you put out here is publicly available to the world. So just be careful what you put out there. But if I click publish, and I think it'll come back and ask me to give it some information. So let's say, I'll just say fall 2016 R workshop test doc 1. And then I have to give it some kind of name. Let's say R test doc 1. And you'll notice right here it says slug. I don't know why it says slug, but it's http rpubs.com/ whatever username you gave it. Mine's Melinda Higgins 2000 / and then the name of the file. And so when I do this, that document that I created is now out here, and there's the URL for it at the top. So this is another way, if you don't want to continue sending things as attachments through email, you can just say, it's out on the web, go take a look at it. And as long as they have an internet connection, they should be able to see what you just did. So you can kind of see how this makes things easier for collaboration, sharing of information, and so forth. All right. Did that work for those of you that were able to log in? Anybody still having trouble getting an R Markdown file to create? All right, let me walk around and you guys play with that for just a minute. Yes. Move it once you published it? I think so. Honestly, right now, it's not frustrating it is to be in a workshop and partway through be like, it's not working, and just throw your hands up. So bear with me. All right, so I'll figure out what's going on with the install and see if I can send some information out there for you guys as a workaround. All right. I think we've hit most of the main pieces that I wanted to show you guys. What I would say is, you might play around with making some updates. So like if we were in here and you could say, okay, I'm going to put in a new section. Like here's a list. Item 1, item 2. So I mean you can sit here and just figure out how you want to put together your document. So you can add new things. You can try what the different formatting options are with our Markdown and sort of play with that. The other thing I wanted to show you here was, and I know this isn't working for some people, so I apologize. I'll get more out there for y'all. Instead of knitting to HTML, let's try knitting to Word. And what you'll notice is when I do this, and it happens kind of fast, so then we'll go back and look at it, it's going to actually change that header information. So it flipped and you couldn't really see it. But when I do this, it actually now creates a Microsoft Word document. I misformatted something there on my list, so it's not showing it as a list. So it opens a little mini browser. It's actually a little mini application of Microsoft Word so you can see it. So let me close that. Come on. Scroll back up to the top. But you'll notice now it changed my R Markdown file, and so instead of just saying output HTML, it actually now says output Word document. So it's now actually got the ability to write to either one of those. And if I look at the files that are in my directory now, I now actually have something called Test1 Doc. And so if I'm actually here, I can open this now in Microsoft Word, and I'm good to go. So this right here, 2 years ago when I found out you could do this, literally I was jumping up and down in my office. I was so excited. Thank God I don't have to cut and paste anymore. I can just run it. And if something changes, all the output updates automatically. So formatting, there's still, but I mean, just figures. Just knowing that if like the data set changes, all I have to do is run it again, and I can regenerate all of the figures immediately, and they're ready to go, is just so awesome. And so many people I collaborate with are editing and working in Microsoft products, so it does make it really handy. I'm trying to think what else I wanted to show you guys. Okay, I know for a lot of you this isn't working and only a handful of you installed LaTeX, but I am going to just show you this. If you click Knit to PDF, it's actually going to go through and create these different LaTeX files and then convert them to PDF. And so when you get done, now I've actually got this in a PDF format as well. And there's some neat things that you can do in PDF that sometimes you can't do in the other formats. But it's okay. If you didn't get that part working, don't worry about it. I think the reason my list wasn't working, I needed to add another space. Let's just see if that works. Every now and then, sometimes you just have to play with it. So here's that little list that I created at the bottom. I just needed to add another space, and it worked. So sometimes you just kind of have to play around with it. And notice up here at the top, it actually says republish. So somewhere in the smarts of RStudio, it now knows that this document is connected to my RPub account. So if I make changes here, I can republish. And this is really handy if you've got 2 or 3 different people and they're all connected to that file, then your lab partner, let's say, or your project partner could make a change, upload the document, and then you'd have it. So and in theory, so relative to the question about security and data sharing, these tools are available. You can set them up on internal secure servers. I don't think we're set up that I know of just yet at Emory to do that, but I know a lot of companies that run their own servers and have the ability so that you're still using all the same functionality. It's just that when you publish, it's being published to an internal, system. It's not something out on the big World Wide Web. All right. So since we've got a couple of minutes here, let's see if we can crack the nut on why these things are not installing for you guys. So give me just a second. Let me see some. All right. So one person in the back told me that the install wasn't working. There's actually a way to manually install packages. And the command, so for this, we're going to try this from the console window. So if you type install.packages, and then I can never remember if I'm supposed to put the quotes or not. So yes, and use the quotes. Okay. Let's try R markdown first. So if you type install.packages, and then in parentheses, inside double quotes, type the word R markdown. So I'm going to try this. It says one or more packages will be updated. Sure. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to just say yes. So what it's doing is it's going out and talking to the big CRAN server, and it's downloading a copy of that package and then installing it. Usually there's some default directory when you first installed RStudio, so it'll install it somewhere locally. And then I'm going to bring up this command, and we'll also install knitr, Knitr. So once those are loaded and installed, when you come back over here to the packages window, you should be able to see them. So try that. I'm going to put these commands back up there so you guys can see it. So there's the one that says install packages knitr, and there's install packages R markdown. So for those of you that it wasn't working, let's try it manually and just see if that works, and then come over here to the packages window and see if it lists it for you, and then we'll try it again. And if it's working for everybody else, I'm going to spend a little bit of time here at the end, maybe get everybody up to speed. So thank you guys so much for coming. I'll be getting more information out on the web, and I'll add you to the mailing list. Go ahead and just turn back in your evaluation form. So let me walk around and see if I can help people. Yes. So it's like creating a new file. Okay. And actually, let me stop my recording so I'm not just wasting disk space here.